friends. We are here to talk about how to lead the toughest person. And unfortunately, that's you. That's me. We have seen the enemy, and the enemy is us. So we're here for a good reason. We recognize that. And yet, at the same time, I've got one of my good friends on here. I don't know if he'll be able to join us. If he can't, I'll just give him a shout out later. But Nate, if you're able to jump on in a little bit, you are always one of those people that I like to highlight when it comes to self-leadership, especially on the accountability side. So we'll see if you can jump in a bit when we hit that. If you can't, though, I'm going to make sure to highlight you anyway. So as we jump in, I want you to think about, let's just do that mental self-assessment for a second and think about in our own life, where do we know that we are falling short in leading ourselves right now? Now, there's at least 4 key component categories that make up like that whole soul that we can think about right now. I want you to think about the physical side of things, right? Our physiology, the way that we feel, really affects the way that we show up so much. So is there something on the physical side of things where I really need to be leading myself better, taking better ownership there to be able to do it? Another key component to that is the mental emotional side of things. Am I doing what I need to be doing so that that mental emotional edge is really sharp? And when I do show up, even if I've got the physical energy to do it, I've got the mental clarity and wherewithal to be able to execute on that as well. Then we've got that social aspect of the EQ and how we show up with other people and connect with them, collaborate with them, and really make sure that we come together in true community to be able to collaborate and work. And then we're going to hit that spiritual side, which in my book is going to be that most important side, depending on where you fall in your faith. You're probably believing there's something underneath that skin also that is more to who you are than just that. And so we want to make sure that spiritual is dialed in. And what does that mean for you? Is that through daily devotional, meditation, being in nature, whatever that part happens to be, where you happen to connect to the universe, the divine, something more than yourself? It's so important that in those key components of our lives that we are leading ourselves well. So as you take a little inventory, maybe we would say audit there of those 4 categories, I want you to start thinking about one right now where you know that you need to lead yourself better so that that can lead you down the path of this training where you finally come out with what's that one thing that I'm going to do to make the difference. Because if you are new, I'm going to introduce to you a little concept that John Maxwell, my mentor, introduced to me, which is the action framework. And anytime that you show up to any training, whether it's mine or someone else's, I want you to always think like, what is something I'm going to do as a result of this? And these are 3 easy ways to think about it. What's something I can apply, start doing? What's something I can change, maybe even stop doing on that one, pivot, improve, shift somehow? And what can I transfer and teach to somebody else? We will always show up differently in those training situations when we're already thinking beyond ourselves. Now, we don't want to do that as in shifting ownership of, oh man, I really wish Ben were here. He really needs this training. Talk about someone who needs self-leadership. Steve, he's the guy that needs to be in here right now. Sorry, Steve, not you, Steve. That's my brother, Steve. But we don't want to be thinking who else needs to be in this meeting. We want to take ownership of it. And one way that we can do that is saying, not just what's in it for me, what else can I take to somebody else to help them out with their self-leadership? So as we jump into this today, typically what I've done in the past is like jumped into a straight training video from John to kind of like launch us into that. We're going to actually round out things with John today with the free resource that I want to give you to be able to help you out. I just want to set the stage a little bit for that though, by taking some concepts from Leadership Gold, which is one of John's books that the subtitle is this, Lessons I've Learned from a Lifetime of Leading. And he goes through in some really brief chapters, I think it's 24, let's see, turn the page, 26 short chapters here. And one of those chapters, the second one that he leads off with is the toughest person to always lead is yourself. So just gonna highlight a few things here, see what you've got to contribute on this one as well. And again, go through some of this self-auditing and think about, all right, when I leave this session today, I'm going to take this one thing and here is how I'm going to start to act on it, apply, change, or teach. So the first principle we're going to talk about is the mirror principle. And that means that the first person that you and I need to examine is ourselves. And the reason that we need to consciously be aware of that is because our natural person and that natural tendency is to look to others. And one of those things that we fall prey to, you may have heard of this, the fundamental attribution error, or attribution fallacy is what people call it a lot of times, which is where I make decisions and I judge myself on those decisions based on my intent, on the action that I took. And I judge other people based on the actions that they took and call that out on their character rather than taking a look at the circumstances and trying to really get it. The classic example on this one is like driving, right? Somebody cuts you off and, oh man, what a jerk they happen to be. And if we unintentionally cut somebody off, we're like, oh, I didn't even see them. They were in my blind spot, or I was totally going to miss that exit. I feel so bad. I had to get over there. And I give myself a lot of leeway there on that judgment where I tend to see others in a different light. So we need to step back and take a realistic look at where we are and what we're doing and not fall into the fundamental attribution error of judgment there. Now, 4 things that we can do to help us out as we go about doing this. One is to learn followership. So if maybe you've had this experience where you have been led by a leader who's never really been a good follower. That can run us into some real difficulties. And as we see that, again, what we're going to do is we're going to shift from, yes, I've had that experience, to how well am I actually doing on being a follower myself? And that again is where we're going to just pause for a moment and think, okay, when it comes to the aspects of my life where I can be a good follower, how would I rate myself as that follower? Now, Jordan, while I've got you on, I'd love to just get your insight here. When you think about that aspect of one of the key components to being a great leader is to be a great follower, what would you share on that?
So I think it's good to take personal inventory at times and just kind of checking to see, okay, where am I at on this? Where am I at on that? Maybe asking for feedback. There was a mentor that I had a couple of years ago, and he had a way of being able to communicate it a lot more efficiently than I can. But it's when we communicate things, especially in English, it's one of the more difficult languages because things are not always communicated in the most efficient way. And in other languages, like for instance, um, the word love may have multiple words in other languages, whereas for us, it's just one word. But there's significantly different varying levels. Uh, and I guess it's the main principle that he taught me is when you're checking in with someone, if you notice and you're kind of like doing kind of a audit on how are they perceiving something, or if you could tell that something didn't land correctly, being able to check in and say, okay, how I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. This is what I meant. Is that how you understood it? And so just being able to be self-aware of how sometimes we're communicating to others. And that has been something for me where I've seen leaders where they don't do that. And then kind of the team is left confused going, I don't even know what was even said there. And they just went off and did something else. And it's like, well, we're all confused. We need some clarification. So I guess being self-aware of how we communicate.
I love that self-awareness. And I love what you led off with there, which is feedback. Feedback is essential to followership, right? And leadership, both being able to receive, learning how to receive well, and then being able to give that in the proper way and at the proper times. So I would put that with learn followership. I would actually put that one in there, feedback, because no matter where we're leading from on that one in that 360-degree leader kind of way, man, feedback is one of those ways where, okay, I'm receiving some instruction right now on guidance, and how do I respond to that feedback is a good indicator of my followership right there on that one. So appreciate you bringing that one up. Well, that leads us into this second, which is self-discipline. Now, self-discipline, when you think about it going into this aspect, I want you to think about it in the way of, you rule the kingdom of your life. You are your own magistrate. And so I'll just take a little snippet from John's book here on this part. Let's see. Here we go. It said that one day Frederick the Great of Persia was walking on the outskirts of Berlin when he encountered a very old man, a very old man walking ramrod straight in the opposite direction. "Who are you?" Frederick asked the subject. "I am a king," replied the old man. "A king?" laughed Frederick. "Over what kingdom do you reign?" "Over myself," was the proud old man's reply. And this is what John says: each of us is the monarch of our own lives. We are responsible for ruling our actions and decisions. And so, again, on this one, I want you to think, would you make yourself king of your kingdom, right? But judging from the way that you are ruling right now and how things are going, would you qualify for yourself to rule that? Because regardless, that's what's happening. And that is the results that you are getting are based on that. Now, this leads us into our third one. Nate, I'm glad you jumped on because this is where I want to get us going with you, is practicing patience with ourself and others as we go through the self-guidance, leadership, development of ourselves to be patient as we're patient with others also. And so in that patience, we want to make sure that we also have the accountability, which is number 4, seek accountability. And John's going to bring in something here as well, which is seek advice. Before you actually start taking action, seek advice from other people so that you know that the action you're taking is worth staying accountable to. So one of my heroes when it comes to this is Nate Johnson. Nate, I'm going to kind of set the scene here and then just ask you to share, just from your own life experience, what helps you when it comes to accountability. So I'm going to share with everyone 2 quick stories. One is during the holiday season, I do health and wellness coaching as well. I do a Healthy Holidays Challenge. Nate signed up for my Healthy Holidays Challenge, and it's a win your money back type situation where all you have to do is track yourself, report. You don't even have to be 100%, but if you track and report, you win your money back. I just want to help people get results. Well, Nate was the only one I've ever seen do this. I can't even find myself to do it, where every single day stacks from January 1st all the way until the end of the year. We stack a new healthy habit on there, and you don't just leave one and go to the other. You keep going and stacking. And so by the end, we've got like 30 things that Nate's doing on a regular, everyday basis. And his tracker was 100% on that one. And I've known Nate long enough to know this is Nate's pattern. In fact, just last month, I don't know the reasoning why behind this, but he said, I'm going to get at least 10,000 steps every single day. He told me at the beginning of June. And then he sent me a couple of updates. We'd see each other. He'd let me know how he was doing, show me his watch. And then at the end of the month, he reported he got 10,000 steps plus every single day and 5 pounds loss, right? Like you released 5 pounds of weight. And so you had some of those physical benefits that come. So Nate, just if you'll jump on in, correct any parts of those stories that I may have gone awry on if needed, and then just help us understand a little bit about accountability in the life of Nate, help us who could use a little bit of coaching there.
No, thanks. That's good context. I don't know how deep you want me to go in, but I'll go quick. So first is around that second principle on develop self-discipline. When I've been a student of successful people for decades now. Over the last 20 years, I've read 25 to 50 books per year. Almost all of those are on leadership, self-development, finance, anything around that area of becoming somebody better. And so in that, there are key principles that you can find from anyone who is successful, right? They're universal success principles. And one of those is around self-discipline. It's easy to do the right things when you're feeling good, right? When you've got the energy, when you got a good night's sleep, when you got that extra hour or two. Most of the time, that isn't how life plays out. And so you've got to do it. The most successful people in life are the ones that do it no matter what. And so knowing that that's what it takes to be successful, that's the type of person that I've tried to become. And so that challenge you were talking about that we did, that stacking challenge, that was so hard. So in order for me to make that happen, I had to wake up earlier, or I'd have to stay up late, and I'd have to like put together a plan to actually make it happen and set aside time that would allow for me to make it happen. Otherwise, if you don't set the time up and have that plan, you're going to make excuses, right? You just can't get to it, especially with all the stuff that you were having us do. And so that was the key to success. And so one of my favorite books is Atomic Habits. He talks about utilizing systems and processes to develop the right habits. And then it becomes an autopilot. You don't even have to think about it, right? So every night I put my gym clothes in a pile ready to go because I've already committed to working out the next day, right? It's not a decision. So the next morning when I'm waking up and I'm running late or anything like that, if that were the case, I already have committed that I'm going to work out that day, even if I'm not feeling like I want to. And there are plenty of times, even still to this day, I've been working out 5 to 6 times a week for the last 15 years, every single day, right? 5 to 6 times a week. And there have been so many times that I haven't wanted to do it, but because I've implemented the right systems and processes and have exhibited that self-discipline, I do it anyway. And I think that's probably the major difference is we can do a lot of great things if we're willing to position ourselves for success and if we're willing to not buy into our own excuses or reasons why we can't be successful. I don't know if that's where you wanted me to go with it, but that's what I've got, Russ.
Hey, I had no agenda outside of I want to hear Nate preach on this because I don't know anyone who does it better. And I mean, going back to just your discipline with your studies to be able to find those patterns and then implement the systems to be able to help you out. And this is where I wanted to make sure that we spent the time rounding out today is often people have good intentions, but they don't have a plan. And so what we do know that systems and processes, that the key to a system is that every system is perfectly designed to get the result that it gets. And right now, each of us is living off a system, either by default or by design. We all have a system. So Nate, you've been very intentional about designing systems that help you get those results. In fact, it takes the decision and decision fatigue out of it, right? You're like, the decision's already made, the system's in place. I just follow the system and I get the results. Two other rules about systems to go along with every system is perfectly designed to get the results that it gets. The second is every system is designed to protect itself, right? So if we're in the default system, that system is protecting itself. If we're in a design system like Nate has, he's got his clothes already out, that system is designed to protect itself and keep it going. So we have, if we're going to make a change, we have to be intentional about it, right? So change is inevitable in life. Growth is optional. So we have to be intentional about it. Something is always going to be happening. Are we going to let it happen by default or by design on this one? And then the third one is a bad plan will be, or a bad system will beat a good person every time, right? And so as well-intended as we are, as good as you are trying to be, if you do not have a system set up and it's only by default, that default system is the one that's winning and it is going to override and supersede those intentions. So I like to make the distinction here. Intention is meaning well. Intentional is doing well. So we've got to move from the intent and intentions to the intentional and intentionality of actually doing something. So Nate, just if I can have you chime in one more time right now, what did you do so that your most recent 10,000 step plan worked? Like what plan did you put in place so it wasn't left to like just, it wasn't left, it was designed.
Yeah, so for that one specifically, I was starting to wear my watch again because that helps me track those steps. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to manually count 10,000 steps. So that helps me know exactly how I'm on pace to do, right? It kind of keeps me accountable. And then I was setting aside time in the morning that I was going to walk on an 8 incline at a speed for at least 30 to 45 minutes so I could knock out a good portion of those steps up front. So that way I knew that I was positioning myself for success. You don't get them all done in that time frame, by the way. You probably have to do about an hour and 15 minutes of walking to get that full 10,000, but it gets you on the right track. And so that was one. And then the other one is I knew that you would be a support and an accountability partner. I didn't ask you to do it, but I started telling you what I was doing and giving you updates because I knew that you would be a positive encouragement for me. And I knew that I wasn't going to let you down. Right. And so it was kind of almost a little mind game. I knew I was going to do it either way, but I'm like, if I bring Russ into the equation, there's no way I'm letting Russ down because Russ knows me as somebody who's going to get it done. And so I can't let Russ down. So I'm going to make it happen.
Oh man, I love that. So good. So many things that you pointed out there that are keys to success. So you had the mindset, you had the tool set there with your watch to be able to do it. You brought on an accountability partner to be able to do it. And guys, for that reason, I will never ever have a problem referring business to Nate. Nate works in the loan origination field of things when it comes to mortgages. Nate, I want to make sure I represent you well. On the business side of things, describe what you do.
Yeah, that's it, right? I'm a mortgage lender. I have
Yeah.
access to about 700 programs, and so I'm so focused on trying to help people get into a home and reach that goal that I'll go the extra mile to figure out solutions. So about a third of my borrowers right now are people that have gotten denied by other lenders, and I just figure it out. There's so many options out there, and I have to do a lot of extra research to get them there. But I just love helping people, and if people come to my doorstep trying to get into a home, I'm going to do everything I can to help them.
Yeah, and he will. So I have sent my children to Nate. I have two married children. They are on Nate's referral list there because I'm like, I have absolutely no problem sending my family to Nate because I know he's going to come through for them because I've seen him come through every single time. So here's what I want to gift to you because it is all about that plan. And this is one of my favorite things to gift to people is one of John Maxwell's 30-day growth plans that's based on his book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth right here. Now, in this one, because it's 30 days, he's going to be pulling from 9 different laws that come from this book. So it's not comprehensive. I do have a mastermind where we go over the whole comprehensive, but this is the freebie. And so I want to make sure that I pull this, let's see, this link out for you and bring it back. All right, here we go. This is going to be in the chat so you can follow along. But I just want to walk you through really quickly what this actually looks like so that you know what it is. And if you want to give it to somebody else, you can take that link and say, honey, friend, coworker, I was in a training. This was the freebie, and I'll be using this in the future as well. 30 days. Like if you don't have a plan, here's a plan that you can use. And in fact, John Maxwell is now 50 years into doing what he's been doing in self and leadership development because of one conversation that was based just like the one that we're having today. In fact, I'll read you just this little part. He's sitting down with a guy named Kurt Kampmeyer at this point, and he's just getting started as a brand new pastor. And the conversation just goes like this. Do you have a plan for your personal growth? Kurt Kampmeyer, the man who asked me that question, waited patiently for my response. And it was a question that would change my life. He hoed and hummed about it. And he was like, yeah, I've got a plan for self-improvement, but he really didn't. And he couldn't even finance the plan that Kurt was selling that day. But he saved up for 6 months. He knew he needed it. He asked Kurt if he could take that home and share it with his wife. And he said, we're going to skip our vacations. We're going to pinch our pennies and we're going to buy this. And it changed everything and has changed millions of lives since. So John's been kind enough to give to us this 30-day growth plan. And again, you pop your email in there to be able to get started, and I'll just walk you through what happens. Now, I don't know if you necessarily have to subscribe to the email list. Try it without subscribing to the email list, and you don't have to get anything else. If you do have to click that, then I guess I did. You'll get follow-up emails, but I'm part of the Maxwell team, so I like it. It's fine. But I want to show you what you're going to get. In this 30-day growth plan, you are going to get a selection of videos, again, an intro video for this 30 days of growth, along with 9 different videos with John teaching from the book, highlighting 9 of these different laws that help us get 3 different points. Where am I? Where am I at right now? And assessing that. Where am I going? And where do I want to be? And how will I get there? And so that's what's going to help you out. And there's a PDF that comes with this. As soon as you go in, like if we looked at this one, this 30-day growth plan intro, you'll notice a PDF on each page that you'll be able to get. And that PDF is this one right here that you've got. And each day after the introduction, it'll have you go in and say, hey, days 1 through 3, we're going to focus on intentionality. And the thing that I want to invite you to do with this is actually watch that video each day for those 3 days. So rather than just, we'll go to the next category, rather than just watch the law of intentionality for one day, my invitation is actually go back and watch it all 3 days, day 1, 2, and 3, and go through the process here, the little journal jotting that you're going to go through. And then when you hit days 4 to 6, do awareness each day. Just go back and watch that video. And let's see, where's my, next category. Watch that video each day. Again, they're all pretty short, just these shortened versions of his teaching to go with the full book. Be able to do it. And then by the time you get to the end, what we're looking at is, all right, now let's keep a perpetual plan going for your growth. What are the areas that you want to grow in when it comes to your choice, your skill? Who am I going to ask to provide some help for me? What books will I be reading? Just like we had Nate talking to Atomic Habits. What books, let's see, what will read the follow? Oh, I will read the following books to grow in my area of skill, one for each one. And then you create your own plan here. And if you got a team, how can you incorporate this with them? So this is the resource that I want to give and gift to you so that as we keep going forward together, you have a plan for your own growth and something that will take you further than you can go on your own. So to round this out, let me come back over here. I'm going to grab one other thing. I'll just share this one. Our 30-minute leadership solution for next week is going to be the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. And this will relate both to your personal life, where it comes to the plan that we're looking at here that you can do, as well as when it comes to the work that you're doing. So there's a couple of things that I'm involved in professionally, and I need to figure out how do I keep the main thing when there's so many things that can be the main thing. So I want to invite you to come back next Tuesday. It's going to be on the 14th, same time. We'll do a little lunch and learn here. I bounce around days and times just to help people who aren't always able to make it for the other times that I've had it. And on this one, I'm going to pop this also into, boom, our chat right there. So you can do that. And it looks like there's something else that went in the, oh, there you go. Quick chat GPT wallpaper. Thank you so much. Change is inevitable. Growth is optional. And it's true. So that's where, Jordan, you and I, we have to be intentional about it if it's going to happen. Move from the intent to the intentional. So my offer to you, my gift to you is this plan to help you out. And hopefully that's something you can gift to somebody else. So as we round out today, I want to hear some final thoughts, because for me, let's just come back over here. It's all about what was most valuable for you today. What's something you can apply, change, or teach to somebody else. So Jordan, Nate, either or the other want to jump on, hear from both of you. Final thoughts?
It was really funny that you mentioned about the 10,000 steps, because I did kind of a similar thing. I don't know where that 10,000 steps come from. It's probably the American Heart Association or someone. But it's almost kind of like the idea of make your bed, right? To start out the day with making your bed, and it's the little things that stack, and don't discount the small things. And then the last thing I was going to mention, because I did the 10,000 steps and I got to day 173 and I missed it by 40 steps. And I legit had an emotional reaction to losing that streak. Like I had an accountability partner group, all that stuff. I think that it's picking yourself up and realizing that you're not starting from zero again, because that would be discounting the 173 days that you had committed to that goal. So giving yourself a little bit of grace inside of that. Streaks are really effective at being able to keep the momentum going, but sometimes sickness happens. Sometimes and you can try and be prepared for all those things, but just giving yourself a little bit of grace. So
I love that. So good. Nate, any final words from you, buddy?
Hey, so just to piggyback on what Jordan said, I just finished a book last week called The Shift, and it's actually about Weight Watchers, and that was not my intent. I'm not trying to lose weight by any means. But in this Weight Watchers book, it was literally about mindset. And a big portion of that, Jordan, was that when people attack a new goal, they're going to relapse, they're going to miss the mark. And a lot of the times they beat themselves up over it, and then they actually go backwards, and actually it hurts them more than it helps them. And so showing yourself kindness and compassion, and then also recognizing the growth along the way is so important. So thank you for sharing that, Jordan. That's perfect.
I think what you both hit right there, practice patience. As you move forward, let's make sure we're real with ourselves and give ourselves that patience that we need while we continue to stay self-disciplined and accountable to make sure that we really do succeed. Well, my friends, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your contributions. And let's make sure we go own that self-leadership. Come back next time. If you can't make it, register. You'll get the replay, the resources. Until next time, my friends, let's keep growing and going, and make sure you've got a plan in place, your own or this one, ready to go. I'll catch you next time, my friends.